the best date night fragrances for women. So I've compiled a small list of fragrances that are pretty good for just about any type of date. Some of these are a bit on the lighter side, and then other ones are really intense and, heavy and seductive. But in general, all the fragrances that I mentioned here are going to be available in the Amazon associate links down in the description below. I'm going to start with a relatively light option, which is Inial Musk Therapy. This is a kind of a nice modern option. It's very subtle, more of an intimate fragrance, but it's also very attractive. It lasts about 4 hours, but the smell itself is kind of to die for. Now the musk here is a different type of musk than what you might expect. It's not your typical animalistic, really rough, heavy musk. This is actually very smooth, warm, light. Definitely a different type of musk than what most people think of. This is primarily kind of just a soft, kind of cottony type of fragrance. Definitely not something you want to go for if you're used to really animalistic fragrances, because again, it's just really smooth, it's soft, it's simple, but it is effective. It is kind of hard to describe, mainly because it's such a unique type of musk, but for the most part, it has a little bit of amber in it, very light resins like that, very light musk. Like, there are heavy and warm notes in there, but they're toned down, so they're smoothed out. So definitely a very unique fragrance experience with this one. The main downside, again, is that it doesn't last very long, but you can always reapply it, no trouble with that. But this is also a very luxurious kind of top shelf option, so if you want to spend a little bit extra money on a very nice fragrance, this is another good option. Then, if you want something much stronger, you don't want to go for the subtle, intimate fragrances, then I would say Oud Satin Mood here. This is delicious, if you like oud specifically. Now, even though oud is one of the main notes here, it's very nicely balanced out with a Turkish rose note. And that smooths it out a lot, because oud on its own can be really, really harsh, really heavy, really musky, but again, balanced out with the rose, it's very smooth, extremely sophisticated, elegant. This is definitely a more special occasion type of fragrance, just because it has a natural, very luxurious feel to it. This is not some, casual fragrance. You could tell it has some body to it, and really good longevity. It's going to last at least 8 hours, probably even longer. It has a little bit of that natural sweetness from the rose, which is very attractive, mixed with the muskiness and woodsiness of the oud. And then, of course, the oud being so heavy adds to the longevity. But pretty much as long as you like oud, it's really hard to go wrong with this one. It's very seductive, a little bit mysterious, obviously luxurious. Again, hard to go wrong with this one. Then, maybe you're not into oud, or maybe you don't want to go that heavy. A good light option is Eau de Quartier. This is another pretty light option, similar to Inial Musk Therapy. It's really not going to last longer than 4 hours, but again, if you're going for that more subtle smell, you want to have just a nice natural smell, this is going to do a pretty good job of that, because the main note here is violet, and it's just a very realistic smell of violet mixed with just general clean notes. It's kind of hard to describe it, kind of like you just got out of the shower, kind of like bubbly and clean. Clean is really the main kind of descriptor for this particular fragrance, just because that's the main thing that comes to mind here besides the smell of the violet. And of course, the violet itself adds a little bit of sweetness. Not much, just a little bit of natural sweetness to this in particular. But again, you do have to make sure that you're into kind of more subtle fragrances and that you don't mind reapplying this, because again, it is very faint, kind of hard to detect unless someone is really right close to you. But as a whole, very feminine, very attractive, Kind of a light and more playful type of fragrance, but again, also still has that kind of classic feminine vibe to it. Now, maybe this is too light for you. If you want to go for something a little bit more intense, but still kind of fun, then I would say Hypnotizing Fire here from the Harmonist. This is a fun thing to wear, mainly because it has a bunch of crazy notes. It's primarily a spicy sweet combination. It has some really sweet notes like praline, vanilla, you know, really cloying sweet notes, but then it also mixes in pimiento, so hot red pepper, and some other things like that. So you're getting this really push and pull between the sugary sweetness like a dessert and then really spicy pepper notes, this is a really attractive fragrance. It's very warm, it's very strong, it's gonna last at least 8 hours. And it kind of just has this smoldering, mysterious, hypnotic nature, you know, hypnotic fire here. And again, as long as you like a little bit of sweet and spicy, kind of pushing and pulling each other, you're gonna like this. Most people who smell this tend to like it. And also the good thing about the sweet notes, especially the praline, is that they're not really sticky or cloying, because sometimes, you know, when fragrances use those notes, they go a little bit overboard, like you've just been drenched in syrup and you can't scrub it off. But this is really nicely balanced, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And again, it's the bonus of longevity with this one as well, and really good projection. You'll leave a really nice scent trail when you're walking around wearing this one. Now, if you are really hardcore and you want to go for something really strong, really mysterious, really seductive, then you gotta go for the old school option, Halomar from Inial. This is actually a 1920s fragrance. Women wore this in the cabarets when they were rebelling in the 1920s. This is pretty much a pure incense amber smoke fragrance. Not for everyone, because it is really, really strong. Not everyone likes the whole smoky, you know, note that it has, but if you are going for that kind of bold smell, this is the way to go. The nice thing about it, because it was kind of designed to be extremely exotic for the time, so it has, you know, some amber and incense and things like that. It also has a really nice vanilla note. It's kind of a warm yet slightly sweet vanilla, and it really smooths out some of the harsher notes that it has, notably the incense note. So that's all really nice. It's kind of just this very exotic smoke vanilla, kind of like an old school version of, say, Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille, you know, so a good alternative. There's also a good citrusy opening with this one as well. This is gonna last forever, 9 hours minimum, and also it just has that very mysterious, very bold, classic feminine feel. So definitely a good option if you're daring to go for that type of approach. But that is pretty much my list here of date night fragrances for women. If you found this video helpful, of course you can always leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos like these throughout the week, so stick around for those.